Hello everyone, friends, this is the affair that shattered US Part 2, have a nice day and enjoy for watching. The morning after the party, I woke up with swollen eyes and a headache that felt like my skull was splitting open. Mark was sitting on the edge of the bed, looking like he hadn't slept. As soon as I opened my eyes, he started talking, his words tumbling out in a frantic rush. "It was a mistake," he said. "I don't know what came over me. It didn't mean anything, I swear." I stared at him, barely able to process the words coming out of his mouth. "A mistake?" I repeated, my voice hoarse. "Having sex with my friend in our house was a mistake?" "Yes." "No, yes, it was a mistake, but it wasn't planned. It just happened." His face was etched with what looked like guilt, but I couldn't tell if it was real or just another act. "I love you. You have to believe me." I didn't respond. What could I say to that? The man I'd built my life with, the one I trusted above all else, had just betrayed me in the most devastating way possible. And now he was trying to convince me it wasn't as bad as it seemed. His manipulations start. Mark didn't stop there. Over the next few days, he launched a full-scale campaign to win me back. He apologized constantly, brought me flowers, cooked my favorite meals, and promised he'd never so much as look at Erica again. He even offered to go to therapy, something I'd suggested months ago during a completely unrelated argument. At first, I was numb. I didn't know how to feel, let alone how to respond. Part of me wanted to believe him, to cling to the life we'd built together and pretend this was just some awful nightmare. But another part of me, the part that had seen the truth with my own eyes, couldn't forgive him. Mark was cunning, though. He knew exactly how to play on my emotions. He'd sit next to me, tears streaming down his face, and talk about how much he regretted what he'd done. "Don't throw us away because of one stupid mistake," he'd say. "We're stronger than this." And for a moment, I'd almost believe him. Erica's silence. Surprisingly, Erica didn't reach out. She disappeared completely, no texts, no calls, nothing. It was almost as if she'd vanished off the face of the earth. At first, I was relieved. I couldn't bear the thought of hearing her voice or seeing her face. But as the days passed, her silence started to gnaw at me. What was she thinking? Was she sorry? Did she care at all about the damage she'd done? I considered confronting her, demanding answers, but every time I thought about it, my stomach churned. I wasn't sure I could handle hearing whatever she had to say. So, I left it alone, at least for now. The decision to leave. A week after the party, I made up my mind. I couldn't stay in this marriage. As much as I loved Mark, I couldn't look at him without seeing him with Erica. The betrayal was too deep, too raw, to ignore. When I told Mark I wanted a divorce, he was furious. His charming, apologetic facade crumbled in an instant. "You're really going to throw everything away over this?" he snapped. "After everything we've been through?" "I'm not throwing anything away," I said, my voice trembling but firm. "You did." He spent the next hour alternating between begging me to reconsider and berating me for giving up. When that didn't work, he tried a new tactic, manipulation. "You'll regret this," he said, his voice low and dangerous. "You'll see." For the first time, I saw him for who he really was, not the loving husband I thought I knew, but a man willing to do whatever it took to get his way. After I told Mark I wanted a divorce, things took a dark turn. He didn't take the news well, if anything, it seemed to unleash a side of him I'd never fully seen before. Mark wasn't just charming, he was manipulative, cunning, and relentless when he didn't get his way. At first, he tried to keep up the appearance of remorse. He'd leave little notes around the house, saying things like, "I'll do whatever it takes to fix this," and "We're meant to be together." He'd send me texts during the day, reminding me of our happiest moments. But when I didn't respond the way he wanted, his tone shifted. He started blaming me for what happened. "If you hadn't been so distant lately, this never would have happened," he said one night during yet another argument. "I wouldn't have turned to Erica if you'd been there for me." It was like a switch had flipped. The man who once claimed to adore me was now twisting the knife, making me question whether I was somehow at fault. I knew deep down that his words were manipulative, but they still stung. Erica reappears. Just as I was beginning to process everything, Erica showed up. I hadn't heard from her since the party, and I was shocked when I saw her name flash on my phone one evening. Her message was short: "Can we talk? Please." I ignored it at first. I wasn't ready to face her, not after what she and Mark had done. But she didn't give up. She called twice the next day, and when I didn't answer, she showed up at my door. I almost didn't let her in, but curiosity got the better of me. I needed to know what she had to say. "I'm so sorry," she said as soon as I opened the door. Her eyes were red, her voice trembling. "I never meant for any of this to happen." I folded my arms and leaned against the doorframe. "You didn't mean to have sex with my husband?" She winced. "I know how it sounds. But it wasn't. It wasn't just me, okay? Mark, he has a way of getting into your head. He made me feel like..." She broke off, tears spilling down her cheeks. "I'm not trying to excuse what I did. I just want you to know the truth." Her words caught me off guard. For a moment, I saw her not as the woman who betrayed me but as someone who had been caught in Mark's web just like I had. But then I remembered, she wasn't innocent. She'd made a choice, just like he had. Mark's counterattack. When Mark found out that Erica and I had spoken, he was livid. "She's lying to you," he said, pacing the living room like a caged animal. "She's just trying to make herself look better. You can't trust her. Why would she lie?" I shot back. "What does she have to gain?" He didn't have an answer for that. Instead, he turned his anger back on me. "You're letting her manipulate you. You're throwing away our marriage over her lies." I stood my ground, refusing to let him spin the narrative any further. "I'm not throwing anything away, Mark. You did that when you decided to sleep with her." For the first time, I saw genuine fear in his eyes. He realized he was losing control, and he didn't know how to stop it. The plot thickens. As the weeks went on, I started to notice strange things happening. My bank account had unexpected withdrawals. Friends who used to check in regularly stopped calling. And then there were the whispers, comments from acquaintances that suggested Mark was spreading rumors about me. At first, I thought I was imagining it. But then Sarah, the same friend who had warned me about Mark and Erica, pulled me aside after a yoga class. "Have you heard what Mark's been saying?" she asked, her voice low. "He's telling people you've been unstable, that you've been pushing him away for months." My stomach dropped. Why would he say that? Sarah hesitated. "I think he's trying to make himself look like the victim. To get ahead of the divorce." It all made sense. Mark wasn't just trying to win me back, he was trying to destroy my reputation in the process. Mark's manipulative streak kicked into high gear. It wasn't enough that he'd cheated on me, now he was working overtime to paint himself as the victim and me as the villain. It started with subtle comments he'd dropped to mutual friends, twisting the narrative just enough to make people question what really happened. "He's telling people you've been emotionally checked out," Sarah told me during another yoga class. "That you were distant and didn't care about the marriage anymore." I couldn't believe it. How could anyone believe that? I've been nothing but supportive. Sarah gave me a sympathetic look. "Mark's charming, and you know how people are. They love a good sob story." It hurt to realize that some of the people I thought were my friends might be taking his side. Even worse, I knew Mark was capable of going further if it meant saving his image. Erica's bombshell. Erica reached out again a few days later, asking to meet in person. I almost ignored her, but something told me she had more to say. We met at a quiet coffee shop, where she looked more nervous than I'd ever seen her. "I shouldn't be telling you this," she began, "but you deserve to know the truth." I folded my arms, skeptical. "The truth about what?" "Mark and I," she hesitated, glancing around as if someone might overhear. It wasn't the first time. My stomach dropped. "What are you talking about?" She took a deep breath. The night of the party wasn't the beginning. Mark and I have been involved for months. He told me you didn't care about him anymore, that you were focused on other things. I know it's no excuse, but he made it seem like your marriage was already over." Her words felt like a slap to the face. Months. They'd been sneaking around for months while I'd been blissfully unaware, planning dinners and game nights, thinking we were all just friends. I pushed my chair back, ready to leave. "You're unbelievable," I said, my voice shaking. "You knew he was lying, and you still went along with it." "I know," she said, her voice cracking. "And I'll never forgive myself for it." "But Mark's not who you think he is. He's dangerous." I froze. "What do you mean?" She looked down at her hands, fidgeting with her coffee cup. "I don't think he's going to let you go that easily. Mark's power plays." Erica's warning rattled me, but I tried to push it out of my mind. Mark was manipulative, sure, but dangerous? That seemed like a stretch. Still, I couldn't ignore the strange things that kept happening. One evening, I came home to find Mark waiting for me in the living room. He had a stack of papers on the coffee table and a smug look on his face. "What's this?" I asked, eyeing the documents warily. "It's a financial agreement," he said casually. "If you're so set on the divorce, you'll sign it." I'm being generous, considering everything. I flipped through the pages, my anger mounting with every line. The agreement was absurd. It left me with almost nothing while Mark kept the house, our savings, and even my car. "Are you out of your mind?" I asked, throwing the papers back on the table. Mark shrugged, his expression cold. "If you don't sign it, things will get messy. And trust me, you don't want messy." It was a veiled threat, but it was enough to send a chill down my spine. I realized Erica might have been right. Mark wasn't going to let me walk away without a fight. The lawyer's advice. The next day, I met with a divorce lawyer. I laid everything out: Mark's affair, his manipulation, and the financial agreement he tried to push on me. The lawyer, a sharp woman named Rachel, listened carefully before leaning back in her chair. "Mark's trying to intimidate you," she said. "It's a common tactic in cases like this. He's hoping you'll give in out of fear." "What should I do?" I asked. Rachel's expression hardened. "We fight back. If he wants to play games, we'll show him we're not afraid." For the first time in weeks, I felt a flicker of hope. Mark might have been cunning, but I wasn't going to let him control me anymore. Thank you very much for watching. Please support me by subscribing, liking, and of course commenting. See you next videos.